Hello! I am going to be repotting my pink princess today, and I thought it would be fun to do it live. So the first thing I'm going to do is mix up some houseplant mix. I like this black gold stuff from Amazon. I buy most of my gardening stuff on Amazon so I don't have to carry it. I'm hoping I can repot some other house plants here, so I'm going to make all of the soil that I have. So I start with that pre-mixed soil blend, and then I add some pumice, not as much as in my succulent cactus mix, but since I'm inside in an apartment, I try and get a little more aeration in my soil. Get that all mixed together, and I do kind of eyeball it as I go. You could certainly experiment with all kinds of things in here. I know cocoa coir is a popular ingredient, but I do just fine with this peat pre-mix, and the pumice is what I like. It's simple. And then I always use this Bonide systemic insecticide, and how this works is it basically goes in your soil, the plant takes it up through the roots and becomes toxic. So you definitely don't want to be using this if you have pets or kids that might eat your plants, but if you're inside like me and you don't have pets or kids, this stuff is awesome for keeping pests away. Unfortunately, it only lasts like 6 months or so. They design it that way so it's not super lethal, but I find that if I use it every time I repot, it's pretty good. And I just use that for the package instructions. Again, it's not precise science. I mix everything up real well. And if you're sensitive, you could wear something over your nose while this is going so it doesn't bother you. I've got my pot here from Convival Production. I love these pots. They're so beautiful and affordable too. So you want to make sure that when you're repotting your plant, you're not going up too big of a size. I'd say this is really perfect. It's about 1/2 inch all the way around, up to maybe 1 inch to 1.5 inches. But once you start getting into that 2 inches all the way around, you really run the risk of having too much soil without roots, and then you water and that soil stays really wet and the roots just can't get a good hold, and you can end up making your plant really prone to being overwatered. If this was a huge hole, can you see this okay? Cool. If this was a huge hole, I would cover it up with like a little screen, but it's not super huge, so I'm just gonna load straight in. I can't see the screen here, so I'll take questions in a little bit, but I'm not ignoring you if you're asking things. So I'm pulling out my pink princess and checking her out. She doesn't have a huge root system, to be honest, but it looks healthy. And you do want to use this time when you repot your plants to check out things, make sure everything looks healthy. If your plant is super pot bound, you can loosen up the roots, but in general, I don't like to mess with all that. You want to replant your plant at about the same height as it's planted in now, unless a bunch of its roots are exposed or something. So kind of use that as a guide. I like this little soil scoop to siphon soil around. There's my plant. I've been waiting to do this. She kind of needed to be repotted in the fall, but I just didn't get it done, and I didn't want to do it in the winter. It's really best to do this when your plant is actively growing. Kind of like getting braces as a kid. It's a lot easier to recover from little traumas when you're already growing. And being repotted is for sure a trauma to a plant. I'm working this around on the corners. And the soil's gonna settle, so I do fill it all the way to the top to start with. And I give a good tap. Got my chopstick. Poke this down. I'm not poking the roots, I'm just poking the free space. My plant is gonna be so happy after this is all done. I'm really excited about trying to propagate this baby. But you do not want to be propagating and repotting at the same time. So I wanted to repot with the plant fully intact, just to give it the best chance to use all those leaves to resource growing new roots. And then in maybe like a month or so, I'll take all the props. Can you still see okay? Yeah, cool. So the first thing I do after I'm finished potting is give this plant a really thorough watering. And the reason you want to do that is to eliminate any oxygen, air pockets that might be trapped in the loose soil. And that's going to help my plant recover faster. So I'm going to take this to my sink for a second. I'm super excited because we have plenty of soil to do more plants. Okay, after this, I'm going to come check the screen, so if you have any questions for me, hit me up now. Okay, so that first watering, I'm going to get going and let it dribble out. Hello, hello. Reporting. Cool, no question. So I'm gonna just keep on cruising here. Hi, honey.
Don't let me interrupt you.
I'm just repotting some houseplants here.
Sure, but it sounds like you're narrating.
I'm narrating, I'm doing an Instagram live.
Right. Oh, it's actually live.
Yeah, it's live, isn't that
okay.
cool?
So however I screw this up, it's ephemeral and nobody will remember.
It's ephemeral, but also people can hear you.
I just found out that the most incredible product came out in November I hadn't heard of. It's called Dungeons and Dragons versus Rick and Morty.
That sounds like something you would be interested in.
It's a Dungeons and Dragons adventure told as though it's being done by Rick and Morty. You can play through it, which is apparently based on a comic book called Dungeons and Dragons versus Rick and Morty.
So the next guy I'm gonna pot up here is this Hoya ovavata, and I'm so excited because I'm finally gonna pot this beautiful River of Ceramics pot, which sadly arrived to me broken, and then it took me a embarrassing long time to glue it, but I glued it with ceramic glue that I got on Amazon, and I think it's gonna hold. So this hole is a little bit bigger, so I am gonna use one of my screens. These are from Bonsai Jack, and I love these to just keep things a little clean. You know I like it clean. Okay, so look what a big boy this is. Let's see if I can preserve these rocks. Here. This Hoya also probably should have been repotted in the fall, but then didn't get repotted, so this is life now. I do use the same soil mix for all my houseplants, and then I use the same soil mix for all of my succulents. Here. I'm using my chopstick to kind of dress everything. Loosen. I literally just watered this today, which wasn't the best, but ooh, look at these healthy roots. How cute. I got this plant as a cutting, an unrooted cutting from a plant swap 2 years ago. It's really wonderful when your plant swap plants grow big and make you feel connected to your plant community. So I am gonna make sure that I like the placement here with the front. I wanted it to be kind of like hair. That is really super cute. Right out the gate, I think. So we're gonna go with that. Same thing here. I put some soil on the bottom of the pot on top of that screen. And I'm gonna slide in some soil around the edges, going evenly. Planting at that same soil level. Lewis, would you be willing to do some ceramic hole drilling for me?
Yeah, but not right now. It's really bright in here.
Not right now, but like the next few days.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the trick. She has to do it while I'm on camera.
Yeah, I gotta get you to commit while there's an audience holding you accountable. Maybe we'll do a live for that too, because a lot of people are intimidated about doing that unnecessarily. The other thing to check out when you're doing repotting is to try and get the plant centered within the top of the pot opening. This plant is a little all over the place, so it's not going to be perfect, but that's kind of the beauty of it. Okay, I'm gonna go water this baby. Hi.
Okay.
I'm watering the pink princess again. So water thoroughly a few times just to be like super duper sure and to help get the soil to secure the roots in place.
Clearly, I don't pay attention to things because I didn't realize the pink princess had gotten that tall.
Isn't it huge?
Like the last time I looked at it, it was a third of the size.
Basically a monster. I've had it for a year. It's grown so much in that time. Yeah, I want to take some cuttings of it. And
Almost very few of the new leaves are pink.
they'll get more pink as it.
I mean, you got that big one right when
I
you got
know
it.
that one's the most pink one. Yeah. But look, this one would have been two.
Sure.
And this one would have been two. The ones that are more pink seem easier to deform.
That's not surprising if you think about it. Those are the weak ones. Those are
Yeah, I don't know if there's any truth to that, but I agree that feels like it makes sense to me.
At some point, are you gonna take a cutting off of that?
Yeah, so I was just saying before that I'm going to repot it first so that the plant can recover, and then after it's recovered from the repotting, I'll take some cuttings. But yeah, I've already scoped out like node by node where I'm gonna cut it.
Of course you have.
My precious. Okay. Any questions? Cool. Okay, so I still have soil here. And I have these two other philodendrons, all royalty, ironically, the black cardinal and then the orange prince. The black cardinal is the rarer and more struggling. I feel like it wants more roots, so I want to repot this one first. Always repot in order of plant priority because you can run out of soil at any time.
Or pots.
Yeah, or pots, or time, or sunlight, or whatever. So always start with the most important. I could go into this, but honestly, I don't think that's enough of a change. So I think I want to come into this. I think it's a 5-inch up. This is also convital production. Let's see what we're working with in here. And when it's in a plastic pot, you have the opportunity to kind of work it around more and try to gently coerce the plant out. There we go. And it is pot bound, not terribly so, but I'm just gonna check to make sure that that doesn't seem like too much pot. It kind of does. It kind of does look like too much pot, so I might just check to see if I have something a little more appropriately sized for this guy. Well, I think the only way to get a better sized pot is to kick someone else out, like hermit crab, Armageddon style. I don't know if I'm ready to do that, so I'm gonna go forward, knowing that I should let this get a little bit on the drier side between waterings. One thing I don't love about this hex planter is it's kind of a impractical shape. It can be hard to get the plants out of the pot, which is not a fun situation to be in. Again, trying to get in the center, and if you get the center the first, before you start adding soil, then you can hold it in place with your other hand. You see, okay, cool. This is my first repotting and probably since late summer, honestly. I don't think I did any repotting in the fall. I usually take over this table for like 2 days and do a bunch of things at the same time. I hope I don't regret putting this in this pot in the future. One of the things that kind of keeps me in on when I need to repot a plant is if it's always dry. I'm having a hard time keeping up with the watering. That usually is a signal to me that it's pretty much looking for an upgrade. When you repot your plants, try not to do too many other changes. Like, don't also fertilize it. Don't also change its location, which might be tempting, like especially if it's a larger pot, to like change where it is. But if you can control as many variables as possible, that's going to be less trauma for the plant. It's looking really good to me. You don't want to fill the soil all the way up to the edge. You want there to be a little bit of a lip, so you can water comfortably. Okay, and I'm gonna go do my first water. It looks like my princess is done draining over here, so I can show you the finished result there. With this first watering, you want to be careful because it's really easy to spill soil everywhere since there aren't roots holding it in place. Just be mindful of that. Patience. Yeah, isn't she a monster?
Yes.
A nice little monster.
One of many.
It's true. Okay, here's the pink princess. I did plant it just a touch high, but that will probably settle in. If you want to add any kind of top dressing, like soil coverings, whether it's rocks or moss or anything, I would really recommend waiting to do that after like a watering or two, just so you can be confident that you're watering it correctly and that you're able to get a good, you know, stick your finger in, really get a good sense of how wet it is. The other thing that will do is allow the soil to settle in more, because if you put top dressing right on top of soil after you water it, or even worse, before you water it, then you're gonna get stained top dressing. I like to just press the soil down because I'm a neat freak. This is absolutely non-essential stuff. It is still dribbling quite a bit, so I'm going to put it back in the sink before I put her in the habitat. Okay, how much soil do I have left? Okay, I think I have enough for the last plant that I want to do, which is this adorable little begonia, the only begonia I have, a curly fire fresh. Louis, this is the plant we bought in Portland for the wedding. I'm gonna put them right in there. And I could wash this, but honestly, I haven't had any issues with that philodendron, and I'm fine to just keep on going. I wouldn't use the old soil, but dirty pot is not a problem. Just like before, get some soil on the bottom. I squeeze, if it's a plastic pot, to loosen the plant out. I very, very, very gently pull on the stem. I want to be extra gentle with this begonia because this is not, you know, like a woody type sturdy. This is not like the Hoya. And turn it upside down a little. See what's coming. Here it is. Look at this cutie. What a cute little plant. Okay. Get y'all up here. I love these chopsticks for planting. These came with my Bonsai Jack order, and I got this all on Amazon. The Bonsai Jack pumice and the Bonsai Jack little screens for the lilies. I'm gonna be sacrilegious and use a little bit of this spent soil just to top off here. Not gonna kill us. Remember, we've got that insecticide in there, so if there are any nasties, not fungus, but if there's any bug nasties, we're covered there. Give it a tap, get that soil in all the corners, get out any pockets, and I'm gonna give him a little water. We've got a collection here in my sink. How hard it would be to take you guys with me. Oh, there's the sink. Here's the sink. There you go.
Where's the sink? You put that many plants and you can't find it?
The sink has been consumed. So for that first watering, I try and just add a little bit of water at a time because I don't want to flood all of that soil out of the pot, and it's so easy to do the first time. And I'm gonna water this cardinal again. I can already tell it's not exactly centered, but you know what? It's fine. Let's see if this princess has, everything's covered in chinchilla hair.
That's a different video.
Yeah, it's still dribbling. That's the first time there's a lot of dribbling. If if you got your plant like super dirty or messed up during the repot, you can also use the first watering to clean your leaves. Okay, I'm gonna scroll through and see if there are any questions now while we wait for all that dribbling. Natalie says, hi, Lewis.
Hey, how you doing?
Love the placement. Yeah. Cool. Audience of 3. The nice thing with the live things, I guess they're live stories, is that you can then put them on the stories afterwards, so more people can catch them. Okay, that's pretty much it here. I'm out of soil, so that's usually how this goes. I plant until I'm out of soil. I'll let them finish dribbling in the sink here. I'll wipe them down with the little rag, and then I'll put them back in their environment, trying to not do too many changes for them. So I'll put them back where they were previously. And then I basically am just monitoring. Anytime you take a cutting or repot something or do a treatment, you want to just give a little extra eye to it, to that plant, to make sure that it's not like going into shock or burring or like developing root rot or anything like that. So probably for the next few waterings, I'll really be watching all these plants, and I'm going to be ordering more soil. So thanks for joining. I'll probably post some more pictures in my stories after these are in their environments. Have a great evening, guys. Enjoy your shelter in place. Bye-bye.